I picked up that book from the school library to understand how do they teach.
Yes.
Right? Not to understand myself, to understand the system. And that book was Integral Education and System inspired by Sri Aurobindo in Pondicherry. Sri Aurobindo Ashram developed that system. So I picked up that book and I opened the book, I see photograph of the mother. And then next page, Sri Aurobindo. So now these are to me spiritual babas, and I'm still an atheist who doesn't want to get involved, entangled.
Yes.
So that part of me says, yaar, ye kitab to alag tarah ki lagi, apne type. But the book was written by this gentleman named Partho, who was one of the founders of the school, and I had attended a couple of his group sessions, and I really
admired.
So I said, देखो किताब education पे, simple good guy, let me read. नहीं पसंद आई, बंद कर दूँ. So that is how I started to read that book, and that book was basically, it laid the foundational understanding of how Sri Aurobindo philosophy, and Sri Aurobindo philosophy is based on the ancient Indian frameworks of Vedas and Vedanta. So it introduced those ideas, and it's very interesting that my mind was not resisting at all. Even though those ideas were like idea of evolution, for Sri Aurobindo, very different idea of Darwinian evolution. So I was just reading and somehow able to relate to all of that. And then I come to a chapter called Perfection of Mind. So how do you help child develop their mental faculties? So it talks about all the faculties, faculties, senses, observation, intellectual faculties. And then at one point it says the intellect cannot be developed beyond a point. It has a ceiling to it. To go beyond, you have to access the ranges of intuitive mind.
यहाँ आपका पॉइंट आ गया.
मर्ज हो गया मेरा दो. एक मेरी सर्च प्रोफेशनल चल रही थी. यहाँ इनर सर्च स्पेसिफिक. So that line which he wrote, it really obviously kind of connected to me. Because I try to read all the books in the world. I am writing my own white paper.
Yes.
Right? But here it is. And then that book had, उसके बाद 10 pages on intuition. Intuitive mind. I was joyful, and I was able to connect to so much of it, and it obviously talked about more which I was able to relate to. But my mind is now saying, which means there is more material on intuition which I can read. So I want to move out of this book and read. But what should I read? So there was a line in that in those 10 pages which basically conveyed that the only place work has been done to develop and understood intuition was ancient Indian yogic systems. Now this is what, I never had any interest in religion or spirituality. So yoga to mere liye, it was like an outdated physical exercise system, which people should have given up because the progressive people do gym and aerobics. So these are non-progressive, right? So मैंने कभी try नहीं किया था. But the book was indicating a much deeper meaning the word yoga itself. So now I wanted to read that. I was a reader always. So if I am curious, I will try to read that.
Yes.
My line of attack was right. So then suddenly I remembered, what should I read? I remembered the photo of the Guruji in the front, Sri Aurobindo, who was introduced in the book as a person who created a system called Integral Yoga. And he was like a great yogi, right? So I went online, Flipkart was there, those days. I bought like 5-6 books. And I started to read Sri Aurobindo. It's a book called Life Divine. It was my first reading. Right? So through that reading, so far because I was anyway trying to look inwards, I was trying stuff, but I had not got a good direction basically. So with Sri Aurobindo, I got a very clear understanding of intellectually what does it mean when people are talking about intuition. So what he's saying is that the world is at a deeper level or at a non-visible level, which we are not aware of. The world is actually a single consciousness. It's made up of single materialism. It looks separate to us. Right? Because we are only aware of this separate entity, when we have to act in the world, our action comes only from our capacities which we have over here. But if we can become aware of us as a larger consciousness, then our action will include knowledge of the world. Right? And that is where the intuition works basically. Intuition is a knowledge of something which is not within you, come from outside.